Well, hello there, my fellow incels. I have a special message to incels and normies following the wake of the recent crimes committed by Alec and Manasian. With that being said, allow me to say one thing first. There is no such thing as an incel rebellion. While many of my fellow brothers have committed acts of violence, it is not indicative of incels as a whole. There is no central structure for incels, there's no plan for a mass revolt, there's no weapons being distributed. Uh, there's no structure, no plan, no nothing. So if there's any police being involved in this, I would say you're wasting your time. There is nothing going on here. We're just a bunch of men that have quite literally lived something that I'm not sure how to explain correctly, but I'll do the best I can. I truly believe that if the vast majority of you go to the websites where incels have congregated, like incels.me, lookism.net, and whatever other website that incels decided to go on, you'll find that we are not killers, but simply individuals that have had a shared experience. Most incels that I've talked to are in fact quite kind and peaceful individuals, so I would like it if incels as a whole are not judged by the actions of a few lone individuals. That being said, I would like to address the actions committed by Alec Manasian. While his acts of violence are indeed not something to be condoned in any way, I must say that his actions were due to a deeper issue that I haven't seen addressed anywhere, not in the media, not in the internet, only on the deeper corners of the internet, like forums such as lookism.net and incels.me. And that issue is something that I would like to call the plight of the subhuman male, or just males in general. Now, I already know what you're going to say. There is no such thing as subhuman males, but I'm starting to think that there really is. Subhuman males are basically just guys who never really found their place in society, who are just thrown to the wayside because of their genetics, because of the way they look, the way they speak, maybe even their lack of motivation to improve themselves. But yeah, maybe it's their lack of effort or their lack of looks. Who knows? But I'll get more into that as this video goes on. While many incels I know will never make videos like this or speak out for fear of reprisal or criticism, I feel that the incel issue is something that society should take notice of and at least attempt to understand. I myself self-identify as an incel and have been pretty much one for all of my life, maybe due to my lack of effort, but I feel like I have put a lot of effort to improve myself, and I'm still an incel, still stuck in the same position as I've always been. Yeah. I do feel that I can understand individuals like Alec Manasian the most, though I am making a lot of assumptions of his life and what he's been through, but I think all incels pretty much have had the same experience in life. I think I felt the same anger, rage, pain, misery that he felt and other incels have felt, and I still do, for the most part. Now, I'm not sure what that makes of me. Will people laugh at me? Will people even listen to my message? Is this all just a big waste of time? I'm not sure, but I'm gonna continue with this video and hope I don't get arrested by the police or FBI. I am now 22 years old, and I find myself thinking and feeling very differently than the way I have in the past. While I have felt a lot of anger and rage based on my condition, I've also, at this point, kind of reached a sense of peace about where I am. I've reached a kind of tipping point where I'm not really angry at being an incel. I simply want people to understand what an incel is, what we've been through, And I actually do feel like we're a minority group, but we'll never really get that kind of recognition in society or anything like that. Um, I liken ourselves to early Christians and how they were treated following the death of Jesus Christ. Early Christians were persecuted, killed, and ridiculed for their beliefs. And I think that's pretty much what incels are going through right now. We're being ridiculed on the media, we're being hated by everybody. And I guess all the recent killings being done by incels like Elliot Rodger and Alec Manasian is doing nothing to further our cause in any which way in particular. It's just making us even more ridiculed, even more hated. But I hope incels such as myself can show others that we're not all hateful individuals, that we're just people going through issues that I hope one day we can find an answer for. Anyway, I'm sure my Christian metaphor or analogy seems ridiculous to many of you in this modern age, but that's pretty much how I feel incels are treated in this day and age, though to a much lesser degree. Of course, incels aren't being thrown across the street, stoned to death, hung, crucified to crosses. Well, not yet, but we do get ridiculed verbally and ignored for the most part. We don't really have a voice. Nobody really has stepped up and taken up the cause of incels. As laughable as that sounds. Even when we're addressed, we're mocked and crucified. Even in movies like The 40-Year-Old Virgin drive that point home quite clearly. It seems that incels are the last group that's really acceptable to mock and condemn. And that doesn't sound fair now, does it? Let's see here. Anyways, back to my analogy of the early Christians. The early Christians, from what I read, had something in them that I don't see in many Christians today, and that is belief. They fought for their beliefs, died for their beliefs, preached their beliefs, and that is something that I can respect. It's something that I, in recent times, have realized been lacking in myself and other incels. I, in myself, realize that I need to have belief. I need to maybe not fight for my beliefs, but put them out there just for people to hear. While I doubt any incel would be willing to die for their beliefs, I do believe that we should stand together and at least let the world know that we exist at all. And at least through videos like this, explain our condition. I know there's incels out there listening to this right now. They have more eloquence than me. They could explain our theories better than anybody else. We should get off these forums and actually make videos and I'm not sure, try to make normies understand or just try to be something different. Try to be something, try to express our ideas to the world. How about that? Give our existences some meaning. How about that? I've never met any incel that has had the guts to really step forward and explain our beliefs in verbal words like I'm using now. Well, most of them are too scared to even speak in real life. But you know what? Forget about being scared, and maybe I won't even explain incels explain our beliefs well at all. Maybe this video isn't even what we need to have right now. Maybe what I'm saying is completely useless. Who knows? But I'm sure some incels will be supportive of this video, and others won't support me at all. I hope to be the first incel to speak out in such a manner. I hope I won't be the last. I feel incels should step forward and share their stories. Perhaps through understanding and communication, we can come to a conclusion that will stop beings like Elliot Rodger or Alec Manasian from coming into being. First, I would like to explain what an incel is. Funny enough, the definition is right in the word itself, involuntary celibate. In other words, an incel is a man that can't get any female attention or sex, even through hard work or efforts. How pathetic is that? I know that many of you can't or won't even contemplate that men like that truly exist. Or even if you did, you probably think that men aren't entitled to women or sex or even basic human decency. From what I've seen, most incels, when they explain their condition, are condemned, are ridiculed, are basically told that it's their own fault, that they haven't tried hard enough, that they should change their mentality, personality, whatever you want to call it. And while it's true there is a degree of personal responsibility that needs to be taken for incels themselves, others need to realize that this is actually an issue, as hard as that may be to believe. You probably think that none of us have put any effort into our lives to improve and that we're lazy. In fact, you might even say, what a bunch of losers, they need to get off their asses. They need to get their asses beat by real, and to become real men, they need to have father figures. They need to change. They need to do this. They need to do that. They need to change everything. They need to become real men. Stop complaining. Be stoic. Be something great. I don't know. And you might think, oh, you should just talk to women. Just go up and say hello to them. Just do that and everything will be perfect. Just say hello to women. Man, I wish it was that easy. I wish it was just as easy as just going up to a girl and just saying hello and everything will be fixed. Everything will be perfect. Everything will just work the way it's supposed to work. Or even if they do accept our message, just say, oh, it's not a big deal. Just get over it. Just get over it. Man, I wish I could just get over it. I wish I could just forget about women, just chop my dick off and just call it a day. You know what I mean? But I can't even do that. Huh? Can't do that. Some of you might even be thinking, can't women be incel too? No, women cannot be incel. Women will always be able to get love and sex, even if they don't even want those things. You see women every day just complaining about men who approach them, complaining about men who won't leave them alone. There's things like, I don't know. I think incels are just hated. They don't want to hear our voice. They don't want to hear anything we have to say. It's just, we're just thrown to the wayside, whatever. But there's no amount of men who will prostrate themselves to the ground in order to get sex, in order to get a girl. There's no amount, and to the beta providers and the white knights who will do whatever it takes to appease women, say whatever it takes. Hell, this video gets famous, I'm sure they'll be in the comments already. Yeah, I don't know what to say to those guys except look in the mirror, try to see things differently. I myself personally have never met a woman that was alone or incel except by choice. It is one of the many privileges that women are given in this society. Women don't have to go to war. Women don't have to work dead-end jobs. It's great to be a woman in this day and age, but I'll refrain from railing against women in this video. I've thought long and hard exactly how to explain the incel experience to those who are not incels. Even as an incel myself, I have difficulty explaining what we are. How do we even categorize ourselves? I mean, we come from all across the world, of every race and nationality, across every society. There's Indians that are incels, white males that are incels, black men that are incels, Asians that are incels. They're everywhere. So I think the issue of the incel epidemic is worldwide, and quite frankly, something that should be taken more seriously. But I realize that the best way to understand incels is to tell my own story. I feel that my story is something that incels can identify with. Even men who have a little bit of success with women can understand my experience. If I show my entire experience, maybe people can understand it. It's probably going to be a long story, so I'll try to condense it for as much as I can. First, I want you all to take a minute and really imagine what it's like to be completely unattracted to women, to be not able to get any attention from them, no love, no sex, no friendship, nothing at all. For some of you, I guess it doesn't seem like a big deal. Some of you don't need to imagine not being successful with women because you're incel yourself. Just haven't realized it yet. Imagine being like that for a day, week, month, year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Can you even imagine being an incel for your entire life? Can you contemplate the level of pain and suffering that would bring to a man? Do you even know what that does to a mind? Can you imagine the will it would take to get up every day just to function? Could you even hold a job in that state of mind? Can you apply yourself to school? Do you imagine the rage and the anger that could build up after so much rejection? Imagine years of rejection and pain trying to approach women, trying to make friends, trying to improve yourself. Imagine going through all of that your entire life. Could you imagine going through that? Could you do it? And if you're in that position, could you imagine doing anything in life? And people wonder why incels are so unmotivated, why we have no desire to do anything in life. I'm here to tell you, as a man going through those experiences and living it, it is the worst thing a man can go through. The pain of being incel, the pain of being thrown away by society is something that defies description. It's a pain that sticks with you. It stains your mind, poisons your soul. It's with you every day of your life. Contrary to what many might say or think, men are owed something, even if that something is as small as the truth. Now, do I think that women should be forced to give incels sex and love? Am I an extremist that thinks women should be thrown into camps and just used as sex objects? No. No, I don't believe that. No, I think that's immoral. I think it's stupid. And I don't think anything like that would ever happen. It's an impossible dream. In fact, I really don't know what the answer to the incel problem would be. I don't even think a solution will ever be brought forward or even attempted to be found. I don't think there's an answer for this. I think incels will just live their lives in quiet desperation until they die, and maybe that's just the way it has to be. I don't know. I guess I'll begin my story. I find it difficult to talk about, but I'll give it my best shot. I grew up pretty much normally in an Asian household. My parents, they're both nurses. They make pretty decent money. They make decent money. We have a decent house. I have two siblings. I suppose that it was just a regular, ordinary childhood. I grew up having friends. I grew up rather normal, I guess. I grew up normal. Yeah. I grew up like a normal person. Until I reached high school, and I guess I was always a little different. I was never what you would call a normal person, or being NT, as incels would call it. I was never, I don't know, I was just never a regular guy. I was always different. I was always attracted to odd things. I guess I just never really fit in. I was never really, I guess you'd say I was autistic. Yeah, that'd be a good way to explain. I was just autistic. I couldn't really socialize well. I was kind of naive and stupid and just, that's just dumb in so many ways. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I suppose my race has played a factor in me being incel. I'm Asian, Filipino descent, a little bit of Chinese in me. I guess Asians are just kind of like in the lower term bracket of the sexual market value. Like if you think on the put it on a scale, I guess Asians aren't really seen as attractive men or anything like that. Um, from my experience, I was never beaten by my mother or father, and I actually was happy up until I was about 14, and I guess I was blue pilled, like most incels would call it at that point. But at 14, once I started in high school, I set a few goals for myself. I would be successful with women. I'll get a girlfriend. I'll make friends. I'll go out and completely change my social life and become a successful individual, I suppose. I guess I was no different than the millions of other young males setting out to achieve the same goals. I started off doing all the generic normie advice that's been given: get a haircut, dress better, make friends, try to prove my personality, be a nice guy, and all that stuff. All that stuff. So I did all of that. I tried to be more outgoing. I tried to be that kind of person. And I think most incels try to be like that. But they found that none of that crap works. It doesn't bring you anywhere, man. It doesn't lead to anything. In fact, most people laughed at me for trying to be cool, and I realize now, I guess most people actually were laughing at me.